Hello and welcome to the Spinal Cord Injury Forum. My name is Jeannie Hoffman and I'm a rehabilitation psychologist and the co-director of the Northwest Regional Spinal Cord Injury System here at the University of Washington. The forums, the video recordings, and all of our online media content are made possible by a grant from the National Institute on Disability and Rehabilitation Research. Tonight we are very pleased to welcome a wonderful panel of couples who are going to share their stories about how they met and became a couple after spinal cord injury. As we go through and talk today here, we'll do that first, and then I'd like to open up for questions later. So if you could hold your questions to the end, I'd appreciate it. So I want to start with introductions, and I'm just going to start from one end and go to the other, and then I'll have them do a little introduction themselves. Farthest away from me are Dana and Marty. Then we have Terry and Gina, and finally Katrina and Chad. And actually, maybe I'll start with you, Marty. Can you do just a brief introduction on kind of when you had your injury and kind of what level of injury, kind of what happened? That'd be great.
Certainly. Thank you for having us. My name is Marty Boggs. I am just turned 54 this past Sunday. I've been in a wheelchair a little over 35 years. I was injured in an automobile accident right out of high school. I was a passenger in a pickup truck and telling my friend to go faster, and so we didn't quite make the corner, and I was thrown out of a cab of a pickup truck and severed my spinal column, and I ended up at Harborview Medical Center in July of 1977. I was a young kid and an athlete coming out of a small town, and so it was a very new experience for me, and I took it on as kind of a positive challenge versus a negative experience, and pretty much have made that my whole life.
Excellent. Gina, how about you? Could you tell us a little bit about your injury?
Sure. I was injured in 1979 when I was 15 years old. Also a car accident, and I was a passenger, so very similar. And I'm a T8 paraplegic, and I'm married to my husband, Terry. We've been married for 21 years, and we have two daughters, ages 20 and 14.
Chad?
My name is Chad Serdy. I'm a C6 quad. I had my accident March 23rd, 2005, so coming up on 8 years. I was at Harborview for a month, and then here at UW for 2 months. We have been married for a year and a half now, and
Excellent.
oh, sorry, my accident.
Yeah.
My accident was on a street bike, and it was just me. It was my own fault, so that's all I got.
That happens. So, Marty, I'll start with you again.
Sure.
When did you start dating after your spinal cord injury? How long did it take for you to kind of get out there and start dating?
Sure. I want to apologize for not introducing my wife. This is Dana, and we've actually been, will be married almost 21 years also here this May, and we have a 13-year-old daughter also. And it didn't take me long at all. I was, as I mentioned on the phone, quite attracted to girls from the start, from elementary school and high school all the way through. So once I got injured, it really didn't slow me down. I'd say within probably a couple months after I was out of the hospital, I was dating or seeing girls, so pretty quickly.
Yeah. So no issues about getting back into the dating world. You didn't really feel like your spinal cord injury held you back at all?
No, I kind of accepted, I think, my injury quite quickly and kind of passed over all those stages of denial and anger and, and resentment and all those things that you go through, and went right to acceptance and pretty much just thought it was a new challenge in my life, and it didn't never slow me down. It never has, so.
Yeah, excellent. Gina, how about you? How long did it take you to get back into the dating world? Or even start the dating world, really?
Yeah.
Had you dated?
No,
Okay.
like I said, I had just turned 15.
Right.
It was literally 10 days after my birthday. So, so no, I really hadn't started dating. I had friends that were boys, and after I got out of the hospital and back into high school, remained friends with those same people and even more. So I had a really great, positive support base when I went back into high school, and they just welcomed me with open arms. So I actually found that I had more friends than I had before. So anyway, but no, so I didn't, there was really not much difference. I knew that it was not going to be quite as easy as I thought it might be a year previous to that. So, yeah, I just kind of took it one day at a time.
So how long before you kind of had a first serious boyfriend?
First serious boyfriend. Oh, well, this is embarrassing.
Do we need to cover Terry's?
No.
This could go bad real fast.
He did warn me on that.
No, first serious boyfriend, gosh, was probably not until I was, I would say, 7 years after my accident. Yeah.
She told me I was the first.
Well, I'm sure you were.
Yes.
She's just remembering different.
I just got my bubble popped.
No, I'm sorry.
So Chad, how about you?
I wasn't really, well, I was 20 when my accident happened. So, and I had my 21st birthday in the hospital here at UW. And when I got out of the hospital, I was more focused on rehabilitation and doing rehab and trying to relearn things. Because being a quad, you kind of lose a little more, no offense, than the paras. So learning to feed myself again and getting off the ventilator, and a lot of those things came a priority before going back into the dating scene. It was not on my top list of priorities at the time. And even when I met her, I wasn't really thinking, I wasn't looking for dating. But it was about 5 years. I started to socialize more often and get out of the house and see friends, go to the bars. When I finally had my ID, I was 21. But it was 5 years or so.
So took you a little bit longer.
It did.
Yeah. Do you guys think that has to do partially with age? I think certainly you mentioned level of injury and having kind of more rehab takes longer.
Yes.
In terms of being more independent. I would assume that you and Gina and Marty, that you guys were pretty independent fairly quickly out of the hospital.
Yeah.
I had a very short rehab. It was like 2 months, 2.5 months at the time, which was very short for spinal cord. And so I was out of the hospital pretty quickly. I had a good support system also, and met friends over here really quickly. I grew up in a small town, Eastern Washington, but my school teachers and some of my friends had friends in this area, so they sent people to see me, and most of them were girls. So that's why
Worked out perfectly.
So that's why I ended up going out and dating and doing things with girls. So
Yeah.
it wasn't unusual. I had 5 sisters.
You were comfortable.
I've been around girls most of my life, so
Yeah,
continue to be. We had a daughter.
exactly. So Chad, do you want Katrina to tell your story about how you guys met, or do you want to tell it?
I think she tells it pretty well.
He just doesn't want to say.
So Katrina, tell us how you guys met.
Well, we met through his caregiver at the time, actually. Her and I were in the same classes in college, and she actually invited Chad out to a dinner that we had with a group of friends. And so that was the first time we met, and he didn't really say much. He was really shy, but we sat directly across from each other. And at the time I had a boyfriend, but it was going bad anyway, so. But since then, it took about a week for us to meet again, and we talked on the phone for a long time, and then we decided, well, let's go out again with our friends, so we did that, and we hit it off. We totally ignored everybody who was there, but we definitely had an instant connection. But it was really neat to get to know him, and it felt good to like talk to somebody and actually feel a real connection. So I got rid of that other boyfriend and then took this one.
Real quick. So what was it about Katrina that was attractive to you?
It was her eyes and her laugh. I love her laugh. Very, very unique when she really gets going. And she's very attractive, and her personality just really stood out to me. And she wasn't shy about asking questions and was very curious about me and my injury and stuff like that. So it was nice to be able to talk to somebody and not have them be afraid or kind of beat around the bush a little bit. She went straight towards it.
Yeah.
no
Did
fear.
you find out with other people that they would be somewhat too uncomfortable asking you questions about yourself or your injury?
Well, there wasn't anybody before her as far as dating.
Right, but just in interacting with...
With friends, yeah, they kind of were, they would dance around, and I'd be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Just ask the questions, I can answer them. But she was different.
Very different. So, Katrina, what was it about Chad that attracted you?
Well, he was shy, and I thought it was really cute. At first, he was shy. I like his eyes. And I liked how open and honest he was about everything. And we just laughed a lot together. We still do. So I was very attracted to him. He's a handsome guy.
Absolutely. That's great. So, Gina, Terry, how did you guys meet?
Well, the only part we agree on is it was a blind date. That's
Okay,
the only
so
part.
should we start
Then
with
after
your
that, it falls
story,
apart.
and then we'll hear Gina's side of the story.
My side of the story is we had a mutual friend. I was living in an apartment at the time, and one of the apartment managers went to school with Gina and said, I know somebody that would be great for you to see. And so she set it up, and it was actually the first blind date I ever went on. The first one somebody tried to set me up on, I said yes. And then I went to San Diego because I knew I wasn't going to be there. So we never met. So on this one, it was pretty funny. And I kind of told Lisa the story. I said, well, you know, I'm not very good at blind dates. But we met, and we went out, and we hit it off. And then my story is that I called her 2 days later. Her claim is I called her 2 weeks later.
Yeah. I thought there was, we were just really easy with one another. It was just, I don't know, it was just really relaxed, and so I thought maybe there was, a future there, and at least another date. When I didn't hear from him for like 10 days, I was like, okay, well, maybe not. So much for that. Move on, and then the phone rang. So, in fact, I think it was Lisa that said, you mean he hasn't called you back yet? I said, no.
So maybe it was 2 days after Lisa prompted you?
Exactly. That was it.
But that's my story, and I'm sticking
to it, yeah. Well, I was going to say, after 21 years, I think your story is probably fine.
Yeah.
It
My
works.
story sounds better.
Yeah. For you, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Marty and Dana, why don't you tell us your story?
I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Sunny. We were working at competitors' radiology offices, and he was the courier, and I was working in a mammogram office at the time, so he'd have to deliver x-rays. And when he'd come up, he'd, honk his horn instead of, getting out to come in. And so I'd go out, and I thought, he's kind of cute. He's got these blue, sparkly eyes, and, this nice chest, these big, strong arms. And I was like, yeah. So I'm asking our courier, I said, well, is he seeing anybody? Well, I think so, but I'll go find out. So she goes to find out, and then all of a sudden he's showing up without x-rays. And he's coming inside without x-rays to deliver. And pretty soon he decides that the girl that he was seeing at our other office, who was not the right fit, she got kicked to the curb pretty quickly. And and then he started bringing family members to meet me.
Before you started dating?
Well, it was probably, into our at least first couple of weeks of seeing each other.
Well, a family
Your
member happened to be in
brother-in-law.
town,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I just
Yeah.
happened to drop by with him one time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Just
actually
needed to
didn't.
check her out.
Yes, and of course he had rave reviews, and the other girl actually wasn't dating. I was just telling him to choose between the two, and he said, "Don't ever go out with the other gal." He said, "Take Dana." So it was good advice. So which I did.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Good choice, honey.
Good choice.
We kind of had an instant attraction. We still do.
We still do.
It hasn't changed. So
Yeah.
So, Dana, had you had much experience with spinal cord injury? Did you know people? Had you worked with folks with spinal cord injury?
I'd actually worked as a physical therapy assistant
Yeah.
in a small PT office for a few years. In fact, that's what I was originally going to go into out of school, was physical therapy. So had some exposure there. But other than that, not.
So did you have questions about kind of what his function was, what he could do, what he couldn't do?
I don't know that I ever asked. I just assumed
I think we pretty
you
much
could do anything.
Yeah, and we pretty much found out pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
So there was never any kind of lengthy discussion about like whether or not like sexual function or anything else?
we slept together the first date, so there wasn't a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
there wasn't a lot of questions.
I was gonna say, that's an easy way
We
to
barely
figure
got
it
out of the car to get inside the house, so
a lot of time for discussion.
there really and found
You
out I
knew
was-
how everything worked
yeah,
very quickly.
I was pretty
Yes.
functional at the time, so yeah,
Excellent.
so wasn't a lot of surprises.
Okay. Terry, had you had any experience with spinal cord injury or knowing anyone
No.
with spinal cord injury? So how did you guys address questions about her function or what was okay to do, what was not okay to do, or what she could do or couldn't do?
For me, it just seemed natural. When we met, we hit it off. She was pretty much game to do anything. I pretty much lugged her places where she didn't think she could go. But for me, it was never, I didn't think about it. That's the only way I knew Gina. That's the way I met her. So for me, it just seemed natural. And, over time, she told me the stories, but I never really inquired because it wasn't for me, it was a don't care.
What did you think about that? Had you had that experience before, or was it usually that you had to do some education? Or?
Yeah, usually it had, we talked at least a little bit about, paralysis and what that meant, but he never asked and never inquired, and it was just really weird. I was like, okay, this is different, but this is kind of neat, and so yeah, it was a very unique experience for me. I really was, quite taken aback by that, but also very, I don't know, I just loved the fact that there was not any conversation about it, but it was very natural and nice.
Right. That didn't even really
Yeah,
have a question. Excellent.
very fortunate.
And you have a biological child?
Yes. Our oldest daughter is biological, and then we had a lot of complications with that pregnancy because we found out that when I got pregnant that I'd had a blood transfusion after my car accident, and transfused with some blood that had like the KEL antigen on it, and so my body had developed the antibody to that antigen. Turns out he has the KEL antigen in his blood, and our daughter also had the same blood type as he did, so my body was fighting the pregnancy. So that got into a lot of medical issues as far as, and then I had preterm contractions on top of that, so there was bed rest, and then we had to do ultrasounds every 2 weeks, and then amniocentesis twice once we reached, I think it was the 20.
It was 24 or 26 weeks.
Yeah. So 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 after that was something we didn't bargain on.
Right.
So we were very blessed. Ended up they had to induce labor at 35 weeks. They found that a baby can't go any longer than that in utero with this condition, and it's like an RH factor, but it's not treatable. So anyway, within about 12 hours of her birth, she did have to have a complete blood transfusion because there was still enough, her body just wasn't still strong enough to
She
fight
had so
off.
much what they referred to as indirect. So what your liver can handle, there's
Right.
direct. That they know that's what's coming off, but what it can't handle, it kicks back out. So the bilirubin was so high that it came to a point where they said we have to transfuse her. But I want everybody to know, when she got pregnant, I predicted the day and the sex,
She did. I was freaking.
and I nailed it.
Wow. Are you
And
that
was
good at the
before-
lottery?
Yeah, it
or-
was just.
Nope,
no.
that's the only time it ever worked.
That's impressive. That's impressive. So even though it was clearly related to your injury, it wasn't, the complications you had nothing to do with having a spinal cord injury. It was just from the accident itself and
Yes.
the transfusion and
Right.
the combo.
The birth process was a little, more unexpected and complicated because of my injury.
In what ways?
Because, first of all, the baby was small, and because I can't feel from here down, have no feeling, I don't get the pain, so I don't get tense and tight, and so everything just kind of happens very naturally because you're not fighting the birth process, so it's very quick and unexpected. So she basically, we did go to the hospital, we did get induced. They broke the water, yes. And then after about an hour, they lost the baby's heartbeat on the monitor. And I was like, okay, well, this is making me nervous. We kind of need to do some checking here. And it was Monday Night Football. My dad was in the room, and Terry, and the nurse who, oh, well, no, I didn't go there. But anyway, she was from the rehab floor, and I don't know why she was helping me with delivery. She was a floater.
It's really not a common thing.
She was a floating nurse. They weren't expecting that she was going to come so quickly. And anyway, my legs were spasming, and I just couldn't get them to stop spasming. And so I said, look, you really need to turn me on my back so I can just kind of take a look at things and see what's going on. And they did, and we did it very discreetly because, again, my dad's in the room. And I lifted up the sheet, and I looked down, and I go, baby's here. They're like, and the nurse was
So I lifted up the sheet and I said, yes, the baby's here. Now here's the funny part. The nurse turned around screaming, running out of the room. Emergency, emergency, never came back. Luckily there was a midwife at the nursing station. She came in and took over and handled everything, but we never saw the nurse again. I'm not even sure she's a nurse anymore.
Right.
She was so traumatized by this experience.
My dad was also right behind her out the room.
And Grandma went to QFC to get us some food, so she missed the whole delivery.
Because it happened so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet she wanted to be
Then
there.
my doctor did come. Everything was okay.
Just to check that everything was fine.
So but afterwards I did read that is a,
Common thing.
yes, yeah. You should probably be in the hospital.
Ahead of
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and don't let the doctor go home for dinner.
Right. No dinner.
I thought it was being nice.
Yeah. Next time. Well, no next time. Yeah, exactly. Good advice.
Yeah. Exactly.
So Katrina and Chad, did you have questions? Obviously, it sounds like you guys talked a lot about kind of things about injury, that those were regular conversations that you had.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little nervous to ask him at first. Like, I didn't just want to make him feel awkward. But yeah, I was curious, like, what happened and how do you live your daily life? And he was just like an open book. We just talked about it one night and I asked him everything. And I was hesitant to ask about sexual function because I wasn't sure, like, how he would feel, but he knew I wanted to ask, so he kind of, like, opened that door for me, and he was just kind of like, you can ask me anything. Like, don't worry. But I was curious, but at the same time, I didn't feel like that was a problem. Like, a lot of my family members were hesitant for me to be dating him, and when we got engaged, they're like, what if you have kids? Like, you have to take care of the babies by yourself, and this and that. And I'm like, I am not even there yet. Like, no, like, I'm not worried about it. You know, when you love somebody, that's not what you're thinking. You're not thinking of all the things you have to do because they're in a chair. It's just, I was just happy with him. So some people thought it was an issue, but I never saw it as an issue. I never have looked at Chad and said, that's my husband in a wheelchair. Like, I don't look at him and say, oh, he's in a wheelchair all day. I just see him. So of course, it's a part of his daily life and how he gets around and how he lives. But once I understood the way he does everything, it makes sense. I can help out when I need to and or not when I don't have to because he's pretty independent. So yeah, some people think it's an issue, but I never saw it like that. I was just so interested in him that being in a chair wasn't a problem for me. I didn't really see it that way. And growing up, I had a neighbor. He didn't have a spinal cord injury, but he had a stroke. And so he was wheelchair bound, and he was an elderly guy, and I would go get his mail every day. And so, I don't know, my mom thinks that I was immune to it or something. Like, it didn't bother me seeing people in wheelchairs because my neighbor was like that, and I saw him every day. So when I saw Chad, it was just kind of like, whatever. It's like, I don't know. You look at people and you just see people and who they are as a person, not what they really look like and how they live their life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chad, do you have some amount of caregiving that you require every day?
Yes.
About how many hours do you usually need assistance?
Maximum 3 hours in the morning, including bowel program and shower, getting dressed, and breakfast.
And do you have, obviously, other care other than Katrina? How much does Katrina do some of that stuff for you?
She'll occasionally do my bowel program, like on the weekends or something like that.
And that's when you don't have a caregiver in?
Yeah. But for the most part, it's usually a caregiver that takes care of the main stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And then nighttime routine?
I'm independent. I go to bed whenever I want to.
Excellent.
Yes.
Whenever it's time.
Yes.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Did you guys have to have those discussions before you,
We went on vacation with his family a couple months after we started dating. And so that was kind of my chance to learn how to take care of him when he can't do certain things on his own, like bowel program, getting him out of bed, into the shower, getting him dressed, and that kind of stuff. And just learning about his body, like spasticity in his legs, and like you got to be careful for that or it'll fly out of his chair in the shower. It's not good. There have been some close calls. But I don't know. My mom always thought I was supposed to be a nurse or a teacher. So I'm a teacher. I'm a preschool teacher. And I guess sometimes I act as a nurse for him when he needs one.
Yeah, absolutely. So who trained you? Did Chad just train you himself, or did you get his family to train you?
A little bit of both.
Transfers,
he just
pretty good
got me in
teacher
there
at
and,
that,
hands-on teaching. And then,
I can do most of my transfers, but like bed to a shower chair, it's more difficult,
hard one,
especially when
yeah.
you're naked and wet. Sometimes
It's
not
a
good.
hard one.
But I can do all my other transfers mainly. But yeah, that was when I needed to teach her, and I'm a pretty good teacher with those.
Yeah.
My mom was still kind of like part-time caregiver at the time, and I was at home when I did meet Katrina still. So my mom was also there to help her
Right.
and show her some
Yeah.
things.
That's great.
Yeah, so that vacation kind of pushed us into that type of relationship. We became pretty serious pretty fast just because of the nature of the relationship. But, I mean, I had no problem doing what I had to do, so it didn't bother me, and I think that's what he liked about me even more, that I wasn't afraid to just get in there and do it, so.
That's great. So how do you guys divvy up the day-to-day household tasks?
I do.
I tried to have my caregiver do some stuff because I'm like, you're here for me,
Right.
so I like you to do some stuff that I'm not able to do
Right.
to help her out. So maybe sweeping the floors or emptying the dishwasher, just things like that. She'll make me breakfast. That's how I try to divvy it up for myself.
Right.
Even cleaning the bathroom, shower, stuff like that.
And he likes to pay this guy to do the lawn for me.
She she didn't want to do the lawn. I had her
Tired
try
of
it. Bought her a lawnmower and everything, and she was like,
I tried it for a couple months, and
she was like, I don't like this. I was like, all right,
So you got a
I'll
guy.
hire someone for you. So, but yeah,
Dana and Marty, how do you guys split up the household tasks?
We have complete role reversal.
We do.
Yeah.
So, I am the homebody. I am the person that is constantly cleaning the house, constantly doing dishes, constantly doing laundry. I do pretty much 90% of the laundry, probably 90% of the dishes. Dana cooks about half the time. She's got it made, actually. 'Cause
Yeah, I do.
I'm like a,
I really do.
I'm like a genie.
It's
She
awful.
likes to mow the lawn, and she likes to go
Yes.
outside and prune bushes.
I'd come and mow your lawn.
Yeah, so
we should make this room.
she'd rather be outside digging weeds, and I'd rather be inside with the sports on or a movie on and music on and cleaning the house. So I'm kind of an overachiever.
You guys can come over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hire ourselves out.
So, but no, we've got a good role, and we both, I think, know both of our roles quite well, and it works well with us. So she does the bills, I do all the other stuff. So it works. I like it.
Perfect. How about you guys?
You can answer this one.
If I can pass it off, I'm doing it. The only thing I do is when it comes to the holidays, I do the Thanksgiving dinner and the Christmas dinner, and every once in a while I perfected doing pizza on the grill, on the barbecue, so I call it my redneck pizza oven. I'll sweep the floors, but I pretty much don't want to do laundry. If I can get out of doing dishes, I'm game. I'll clean the windows in the spring, and other than that, all I want to do is go downstairs and work on my Land Cruiser.
Yeah. Well, no, he likes anything that's like loud and powerful. So he likes to do the power washer and the blower thing. But somehow they seem to make more of a mess than clean up a mess. I haven't figured out how that happens, but anyway, but no,
Well, they're gas powered. They got to be fun.
They gotta be fun. It's gotta be fun, you know. But no, he does, and he do great lawn care as well. If you need any tips, great lawn care here. So yeah, our yard looks really nice. And my mom and dad live downstairs, so so we basically have like two households. So really, he's being very modest because he really does. He's our go-to person. If anything's broke, doesn't, you know, or something's wrong, mouse here or there. He's the mouse whisperer in the house. And then
It's a good job to have.
yeah, I help my mom and dad out with just the little daily things that they might need help, maybe getting to doctor's appointments or something like that. And then of course I'm helping out my daughters all the time and transporting them here and there and laundry and all that stuff. About the only thing that's difficult for me to do that I have to pass off to somebody is cleaning the tub and mopping the floors. I can vacuum, but mopping is just like, I don't know, doesn't happen very often.
And for some reason, my daughters won't clean their tub. So that's the one job I do.
See, he just kind of pitches in,
We're
wherever.
taking after their mother, huh?
Wherever, yeah.
Pretty much. Although she'll come to me and I always like, well, you got two daughters. I always tell her I'm too old for this now.
It's not working though, is it?
It never works. I'm the token male. Although I have my father-in-law now.
Yeah. There's 3 against 1 in your house and you lose.
Actually, it's 4 against 1. And my mother-in-law, for her, because she lives downstairs and they're used to, they want it done yesterday. So whatever her to-do list is has to take precedence over everybody else.
So I learned that I have to tack my to-do list onto her to-do list, and it gets done. That's how we do it.
Excellent. You guys have a great system. So how is, for you guys, you're not quite there yet, although parenting responsibilities, it sounds like maybe taking on some responsibilities, maybe coming up. But for you guys, how have you negotiated the parenting? Do you feel like there's been anything about having a spinal cord injury that's been influential or changed anything about parenting? Gina, do you want to start?
I don't think so. We just made sure everything was accessible, so that from the changing table to getting the baby in and out of the crib and that kind of thing. So we really worked towards making everything very accessible that way, so that I could take care of it. And I was very nervous being a first-time mom and handling a baby, and Terry took to it like immediately. So I kind of had to catch up there.
I don't know, that's true. We did practice in transferring a baby into the car, and she only dropped him twice. Luckily, it wasn't Amy. No, I'm just kidding. She was very nervous about. We had a car at the time, so I immediately realized this isn't going to work. But she was so used to having a car, and it defined her that having a car that driving around in a van would be like a station wagon back in the 60s and 70s.
I didn't want a van.
But I was like, look, this is the only way it's going to work. I said, you're not going to have a back. And once we made that transition, it was very easy for her to figure out how to actually carry Amy on her lap and then transfer into a car seat and then get into the van. And once we got that figured out, initially she was homebound until I got home. But once we made that transition, it was huge for her because now she could pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I don't think, other than that, her injury had really nothing to do with how we parented. Although I couldn't figure out, she got to stay home and I had to go work. I kept trying to flip that one and it still hasn't worked.
Well, maybe when the kids are out of the house.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking now. I'm like,
But then I have my mom and dad downstairs,
I think you might be out of luck, Terry.
well, it actually, to that point, it's kind of nice going to work sometimes. Because when you have an Italian mother-in-law and a Polish father-in-law, sometimes it's better to go to work.
It's your quiet time.
It is.
Yes.
How about you guys, Marty and Dana?
And we did the flip right away. So just
Yeah.
within 3 months or 2 months after we had our baby, Dana wanted to go back to work, and I wanted to stay home. And I was the director of a community center at the time, and she was working for a wireless company, and she had better benefits. And so we decided to just let her go back to work, and I stayed home, and I became a home dad. And I stayed home for 3 years. And I don't think it was any different in parenting. It was just learning to adapt. And I learned how to put our infant on a pillow. And I'd lay her on a pillow on my lap, and I could roll around and still guard her I never dropped her, although there was a couple calls. And then I could transfer
You did lock her in the house?
I did lock her in the house once because I locked the door out, and I actually broke down the door to get back inside, even though so. But the transfers, that was the biggest thing, just learning how to do it. Once I could put her into the car seat, I could put the car seat on my lap, and I could strap the car seat down. I could roll her just about anywhere. So I would actually roll her in the car seat and take her, put her in the car seat in the car, and take her out, and took her to all of her appointments, and took her to my wife's work all the time. And I was the dad coming in with the little baby, and of course everybody loves the little baby. And so we just actually, again, had that complete role reversal, and I stayed home the whole time. So I started going back to work part-time after 3 years. And then after our daughter got in first grade, Dana gave up her position and stayed home for 3 years with her and took her to school and got involved with her schoolwork for 3 years. So all that first, second, third grade stuff. And so a lot of elementary school, so we had a good balance.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds like it worked out really well, the balance.
It did.
Yep. So
I will say this really fast. For our house, we were in a pretty small house, 1,500 square feet, but it didn't take a lot to make it accessible. And especially to make a room that was accessible for Gina to be able to get the baby out of the bassinet, take her over, and we actually used a desk that folded down and used that as a changing table. And so we just figured out how to adapt things, and it became, I think it became very easy, to the point that you almost didn't see, to me there were no boundaries, and I didn't feel like there were any limitations for us.
We took a changing table also and cut the legs off to lower it because it was up too high. So we cut the legs down so it came down to my level so I could just set her on the changing table, and then got the crib at the right height too. So I think you just learn to get your beds and changing tables and things accessible.
And it's amazing how fast the babies actually pick up on what they need to do for somebody with a spinal cord injury, in this case with Gina, what they needed to do to make it easy for her to be able to get them. Mm-hmm. And then once they figured out there was a lap,
I'm like a built-in stroller.
it was pretty much impossible to get them off.
Really, seriously, especially with a power chair, man.
Yeah.
And then my mom made this little belt that went around me and the baby, so she could just sit right, in my lap, and we mowed her around, so it was pretty cool. And then when she's little, a pillow in my lap. That's what's great. I mean, you'll have like I have kids.
We
I'll
didn't
have
keep
like
a stroller for very long because we never used it.
Same here.
Yeah, no, I know. My daughter ended up we kept it, and then she would push the dog around in the stroller. And she could walk.
It does have some use. So, I don't know who wants to go first. We'll start with you guys. What kind of advice would you give to people who are newly injured about getting back into dating or thinking about getting married, thinking about parenting? I know it's a big question, but what kind of advice would you give? Dana, why don't you start?
There's a lot of big questions. I think that absolutely anything can be tackled if you have a good partner. And Marty knows himself so well and knows his limitations and his abilities and is able to conquer anything. That those questions, if you have a partner like that, they're just little mountains that little hills you roll over as you go along. To be honest, I'm not very much of a, oh my God, let's think ahead, 20 years from now, we're going to have kids, or we're going to do that. I just made that blind leap of faith and said, it'll happen if it's meant to happen. So like when we first started dating and first got married, there was a question of whether we could even have kids. And once we got into finding out, it was like, boom, So I don't know about what I would tell people other than to get to know your partner. We even have friends who will be planning something and they'll go, oh God, that's right, we need to get an accessible seat, don't we? Because they forget that Marty's in a chair. Or we'll be planning to go somewhere that's not accessible, and all of a sudden somebody will go, oh crap, well, we'll just haul him up the stairs or whatever.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I think it comes down to that. But that's, I think, standard for any relationship that you have, whether you're able-bodied or disabled in some way, shape, or form.
I think most people see the person, not the disability. I think that's true in life when you look at people. Hopefully they see you. You can tell people when you see them and they're looking at you and they look down at you and they have this kind of sorry look, and you're thinking, you look down at them and say, you're kind of sorry look. 'Cause I've been in the chair a long time, so I've seen a lot of looks. And the irony of this whole thing is Dana and I came to this same forum 15, 16 years ago. It was on sexuality. And we came in and there was other panelists up here saying, yeah, they had children. And we were going, really? You're a paraplegic or you're a quadriplegic? You can't have kids. And they said, oh, come to one of our little sessions. And they gave us some techniques and some things. And we went home and said, voila, it does work. So we were like kind of shocked, actually. We'd been together. So.
Can I ask, are you comfortable talking about
sure,
what exactly
I'll
you did?
talk about anything.
Yeah.
So.
Could you tell a little bit about kind of what you went through for that process?
Well, the first part, if you really get graphic, is you have to be able to do your sperm count and see if you still have enough cells in order to produce children, and you had to be able to find out if you could actually ejaculate, and they would use a vibrator is what they were recommending was to use, and we thought a vibrator, and they gave a little bit more description. It was more of a big-headed vibrator that you would essentially apply, and sure enough, we went home and tried it, and it was It was a volcano.
Right.
So it was like, yeah, it really does work. And then we came into the UW probably maybe a couple months later and had the sperm count tested, and they said, yeah, you've got a high enough count without any problem. So then it was like, we can really have kids. And then we started trying for quite a while, actually. Like a lot of other couples where they always say, we're trying to have kids. And, and you'd watch your calendars and do all those things to try to, to time it right.
Totally
And,
stressed out
and
about it.
after about 6 months, it wasn't working at all. And so we stopped, and then 3 months later, she got pregnant.
Yeah.
And so, which is very
It
much
was the
similar
massage
to able-bodied
beforehand.
couples, too.
Right.
So, I think the big thing, that advice we would give is just to have faith, and things will happen. If you believe, and whether you can have children or not. I think it's a lot of biological and a lot of other reasons, and it's not necessarily going to happen for everybody, but just don't give up in anything you can do. And there's other means, obviously, too, to have children and have happy lives. And I think we're just real positive, and we don't look at the disability as much as we just look at life in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for sharing that. Any general advice for people that are newly injured or that are thinking about kind of marriage and dating and wondering what that's going to look like?
Yeah, I think is look at the person and personality, and don't be afraid of the chair, and don't be afraid of what they can or can't do. All the chair people will tell you there's a million things I can do, and there's a few things I can't do. And I think that's the way I've always looked at life. I've never looked at the things I can't do and be worried about that. It's just I haven't let my chair stop me from things I wanted to do. I don't really want to jump out of a plane. I don't really want to bungee jump, or I don't really want to do all those daredevil things. But I sure want to keep living and keep having a good life and having a lot of fun. And I think just try to find the right mate, whether you're in a chair or whether you're not, or whether you have a disability. Everybody's special.
Terry, how about you?
For me, I pretty much wanted to do, there were a lot of things I wanted to do. I went in the service at a young age. I finished college up in the early 80s, and then met a guy and I biked. So I actually really, even in high school, I didn't date. Gina truly was the first woman I ever dated, seriously. I'd meet and would go out on onesie, twosie things, but there were too many things I wanted to do. So when we actually met, I actually proposed on our 6-month anniversary. I put a ring in and made my own Cracker Jack box and put a surprise in it. So I totally threw her off. We were married a year later, and I'd like to say that we had those kind of struggles, but in all honesty, the doctor recommended Gina go off of the pill, so we decided to try the rhythm method. I told her, I said, either we've got really bad rhythm or we got really good rhythm. I just haven't figured out which. But she was pregnant pretty darn fast. I was like, dang, man.
That was
So we weren't, on our 1-year anniversary, we had Amy.
So it sounds like that the right time and the right person were the right combination
Yes.
for you.
And we actually, our first daughter is biological. Our second one is adopted. And all I'll say is everything we've done in our marriage and life together, nothing's been easy. Getting here tonight, we got hit.
Yeah.
So no matter what we do, there's always a challenge. But some days it's just like, I can't believe this happened. The other days it's like, yep, there we go again. And even adopting, we went to, Gina's Catholic, we went to Catholic Community Services. Every place we went, they said, oh, no, you can't adopt. You're too old. Gina's in a wheelchair. What mother's going to want their child to be with somebody in a wheelchair? So we were like, okay, we'll do it independently. And that's what we did. And we found our youngest daughter through family down in Texas. And we've had her now. We picked her up. We actually stay in contact with the family. I mean, it's been a great thing because I tell her, we go down there all the time, is you have twice the family.
That's great.
And it's been a very positive thing for us, and it's been a very positive thing for her.
Yeah, that sounds
But
good.
it's, we've kind of looked at it, like I said, no boundaries. If somebody says, oh, you can't do this, I was like, yeah, we can. Gina, I've taken Gina camping. We took her to the homestead that my family has in Idaho on ATV. She's been whitewater rafting. Her dad's sometimes like, I can't believe you're doing this. And first time I took her camping, she was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Her first experience in Idaho is, I can't believe I'm doing this. But from there, we just kept going and experimenting and figuring out what we could do and what we want to do.
Right. Kind of no limits.
And I would just say for anyone who is like in a chair and wanting, you know, to have a relationship someday or or soon, is, you know, just to be yourself. And if you have a positive outlook, you know, people just feel more comfortable with you, and you can, you know, develop friendships and, you know, anyway. So I just say just be yourself, and one day at a time, and just like anyone else, it's, you know, the right person comes along, then that'll happen. So.
Good advice. Katrina?
That's pretty much what everyone says. I feel like if he were able-bodied, I would still be in love with him. It doesn't matter. I just feel like there's someone for everyone somewhere out there, and it doesn't. I don't know. You just find the right person, and you have to let yourself be open and, like they said, be positive, because he was so positive on his outlook on life, and that made me interested in him even more. So, and then what she was saying, they were saying about what the people don't want to give you a child because you're in a wheelchair, like what? That just blows my mind, because it's just, they're looking at what they can't do, but when you look at it, they live pretty normal lives. Like, everyone here has a normal life, a normal relationship, and it's because we're all normal people.
Right. Well, and I was going to say, you actually all have very happy relationships and very wonderful relationships, and so hopefully, I would hope that 14 years later, it might not be as big of an issue for people, but I really don't know. Yeah. But it's shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But because I never looked at Chad and said, oh, we can't do that because he's in a wheelchair. I mean, I might look at a situation and be like, well, we'll have to figure out a different way to do it.
Right.
And I've never just sat there and be like, well, I can't do this because he's in a wheelchair. Like, that was never my attitude, because I just see him, and he knows what he can do and what's difficult, and we work around it.
Yeah.
So if you are dating somebody in a wheelchair, you just need to be more creative. I guess that's my advice. Try to be creative and be positive when something doesn't go your way, or if it just doesn't work out because the chair is in the way of something, or you can't get up this little step, and you know, you just have to laugh about it and just be happy you're together, and don't be upset with the little things, because they don't really matter, the little problems.
Great.
So, but yeah, I just feel like everyone up here is in a happy relationship. I mean, they've been married for over 20 years, and we just started our journey. So, yeah, I would just say be positive and look at the good things in that person, and not judge them just by the injury that they had.
Absolutely. Chad, how about you?
I have to agree with everybody, but maybe add that for me, I was kind of a homebody, and probably within about a month of going out with friends and socializing, I meet her. And then 5-6 months later, I propose on my accident day. And then about a year and a half later, we get married. And it was just because I started to socialize and go out with my friends again. And for any relationship, it was communication. There's a lot of talking and communicating, and I think that's what also helps us in our relationship today, is we talk about everything, and communication's big.
Absolutely. It's interesting, as I would say the exact same thing, having gotten a chance to talk to you before and also tonight. Clearly, communication is a huge piece. Sense of humor also seems to be a really key piece in figuring this all out and making the best of it. But also confidence in yourself with your injury, and confidence with your partner, and knowing that you guys can work together as teams is really wonderful to see. So the respect that you all have for each other too is very evident. So I'm going to turn this out to the audience for questions, so thank you all very much. So if you have other things to add, we'll include those with any questions. So questions. The question is, how do you vacuum in a wheelchair? So I guess that's really. So I was going to say, so Chad, you're not vacuuming yet.
I'm not
right?
vacuuming. I have
Okay.
tried to.
So
have
Gina
tried
and
to
Marty
sweep.
are the vacuumers.
Okay,
Yes.
first, I don't use the big Hoover upright things because they're just like monsters. So I use like the little, just the little vacuum thingy. Yeah.
Stick vacuums.
Yeah, like the little stick vacuums. And then we also have the kind that's a central vac system with the hose. So then you don't have that big. I've tried the big upright things before. Oh my gosh. It's like, I don't know. It's like two powers trying to fight against each other. It's either pulling me or dragging me somewhere. I can't move it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. But but vacuuming is a little therapeutic for me. It's all nice and clean afterwards.
I always thought that's where kids would come in.
Yeah.
And they haven't taken that
That
over.
doesn't
So
work.
far, they're just
We haven't
not.
even trained them to be able to move their dishes from the living room to the kitchen yet.
Well, eventually you might want to teach them that so they leave the house. It's just a
I
recommendation.
know.
I've got a lot of upper mobility, and so I've always been pretty athletic. So I've had lots of different vacuum cleaners, tons of them, and each
Do you
one
have
of
a recommendation
each
for
one of them
style?
I kind of have a love-hate relationship with
Yeah.
because normally when I'm rolling around, they'll get caught around my wheels. That's the biggest issue. So I roll over them. I have to constantly kind of adjust. But we've got one that it flips down. If I just pull back, it'll flip down, so I can pretty much do over them. I vacuum everything. I don't sweep. I pretty much vacuum the hardwood floors. I vacuum pretty much the whole house. So I do it at least once a week because I'm obsessed with keeping the house clean. So I'm vacuuming a lot.
What kind of vibrator do you use?
I don't know how to describe it other than it
It
was.
was this particular frequency.
Yeah, so it's kind of a medical. Did you actually get it from?
We bought it at the Rite Aid store.
The Rite Aid
The
store,
Rite Aid
but the
store.
rehab center here actually gave us recommendations of which ones to get.
Yeah.
And and I don't recall, it's been so long ago, she actually made me get rid of it after we had our children. So,
Get that thing out of the house.
No, it's pretty cool. It's a longer, bigger, rounder headed vibrator is the best way to describe it. It was
Yeah.
a frequency that went to a certain level, but I don't recall. It was a fairly high level, but it wasn't anything really.
Hitachi
Yeah,
magic wand or something. That's I've read and heard.
Heard that's.
I think
Yeah,
that sounds right.
That
sounds
sounds right. Yeah. The thing was the head on it had to be a certain size, and the frequency of the vibration had to be within a certain range too. And like I said, we just went to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hitachi.
Yeah, but you can get them at drugstores pretty much. If you go in, and it's a higher frequency is probably going to be the better one.
We just went to Rite Aid and looked at all the boxes.
Did anybody make counter height modifications in your home?
We did. Our first house, I drove my in-laws crazy, but I decided since the baby was coming and Gina was still working, and I had actually gotten laid off from the aerospace company I was at, I gutted our kitchen. Because the way it was laid out, it really didn't work. There wasn't enough space in there. And with Gina in her wheelchair spinning around, it actually obstructed other people. Now, we did consider actually doing like a two-stage, but the more we looked at it, we decided we didn't really want to do that because we wanted to be able to use bar stools. So what I did was we made it so she could roll under the sink, but we kept the counter of the height of the counter just high enough so a dishwasher would fit underneath. And then we did a oven insert, and I adjusted that to a height so she could roll under with the door down. And then we also did the stovetop, and I actually lowered that. I think it was 4 inches. And that actually became a place where she would actually stay and converse with people and sometimes eat because it was a perfect height for her.
And then the bar was on the other side
Yeah.
at bar stool level. So it was great. I could be face to face with people. And people just always kind of, when you're having people over for, company, you don't usually sit at the table and talk really. You're kind of at the little bar and just kind of, because we're always in the cooking in the
Yes.
kitchen, and they're chit-chatting with you. So it worked out really well. And then in our newer home, we did just put, it was
did
all
the same
custom.
thing.
So we did all the lower countertops. I notice that I'm really conscious when people are in my kitchen that are able-bodied and standing. And I'm like, oh, that's really low for you, because I have this pull-out cutting board. My cutting boards are all pull out, and they're heavy, hefty-duty ones, and I use them all the time. Well, so I pull it out for them, and I'm like, and then it's like hitting them down here, and I'm like, okay, why don't we just put this on the counter and you use the counter?
But we have cutting boards we can put on the counter. But we did the same thing. We kept the counter just high enough to allow us to use standard, like the dishwasher. So it's just high enough so we can get the dishwasher. But then on that, what we did was off the end, we actually brought in an 8-foot butcher block, rounded the end and turned it into a table and attached it to the end of our island. That's at a table height. And that ends up being the place where we congregate. Everybody comes to that point. And if we can get away from it, we never use our dining room table. We sit right there. It's ended up being a great place for everybody to sit around and talk. And then the modifications in the bathroom, I didn't want a shower door. I wanted to roll in, but I didn't want any doors. So we designed a system that would allow us, because I did some research and found the water falls off pretty fast. So we did a wall that goes of the glass block, goes 4 feet back and then comes in at a 22-degree angle. So Gina can roll right in and transfer, and then we have a shower at my height, and then she has a handheld shower on a bar. And then for the toilet, because I traveled so much, we wanted some kind of table, so I had the guy we designed a table that it pulls out, it looks like a butcher block, and then the other piece slides over in front of Gina, so she actually has a table piece right there while she's doing her bowel program.
Yeah, so I can set my books or
Yeah.
iPod or, magazines right there, and it's a great little
That's really
thing. It's kind of like one of those things that comes out of the arm of an airplane, and the thing, and it slides over. Yeah.
perfect.
But other than that, we made it a roll-in to the house.
Yeah.
It's pretty traditional,
Right.
other than that. We did make the spaces bigger. We actually, even designing the house didn't work out. We hired an architect. He wanted to design what he wanted, not what we wanted, so finally we just fired him. We laid everything out. We took it to a friend that was an interior designer. She designed the spaces to make sure we could have traditional furniture, and then we took it to an architectural designer and did the blueprints. So everybody was always trying to tell us what we couldn't do,
Right.
but I'm of the opinion that, I want to do what I want to do. And then I'm going to go down that path, and if I decide, okay, it really doesn't make sense, then we'll change. But until I can prove to myself we can't do this, that's what I want to do. The guy told us we couldn't do a daylight rambler. It had to be a 2-story house. In the end, we got a daylight rambler.
Right.
We got everything we wanted.
What is that, daylight?
A daylight rambler, it's because we live in Mukilteo and it's in the side of we live on a hill. So the bottom is actually a basement, but the whole one side is open. So it's not a cement wall. And it actually, what we did was, because we knew at some point her parents might move in with us, it's 2 houses stacked on each other.
Right.
So we never really needed the space down below, but we knew the area we were in. We needed to make it representative of the homes there, but we designed it in a way that if her parents ever chose to, they could actually have a living space, which is basically a house below us. So, and they refer to them as daylight ramblers because it's a rambler, but we've cut out the one side and then created some more space. And it's downstairs we have a 3-car garage. They have their own entry. We have our own entry, so if we truly don't want to see each other,
You can.
we can pass in the dark without ever seeing anybody. And it's worked out great.
Yeah.
But the modifications we made were pretty minimal, and somebody could actually come into our house without having to make any major changes and still have
And still be really functional.
a house that's very functional. Now, I will say the counters are on the lower side,
Yeah.
so if you're taller than I am, then it would be problematic. That might be something they want to consider, but other than that, for the most part, you would come in and be able to use the house no different than if you were able-bodied.
How about you guys, Marty and Dana?
Again, I'm pretty mobile and pretty independent, and the only thing we really have is a cutout sink for a kitchen. And we've lived in this. We've been in the same house for 7 or 8 years, and other than that, that's the only thing you'd notice. We have the regular height countertops. We have a bar height also that's on the other side. We have kind of a great room. And then there's no modifications to our bathroom at all. I'm like Gina, though. I have a counter that's right next to me, so I can, have my books and newspaper and sports page and magazines during my program, radio. And it's actually, I love the cutting board too. So I'm a cutting board guy, but I have a mobile one. My daughter and I are always fighting over it because she uses it to draw on, and I use it to cut food on. So I'm always constantly getting my cutting board back, but. We have no really needs for stuff. And we just went to Vancouver this past weekend, and they had a pretty good sized tub, and I was able to get in and out of fairly easily. So, as they get a little challenging the more older I get, but I can still, I don't find too many tubs or bathrooms I can't conquer.
Yeah. Now, do you have a roll-in shower at home, or
No, I've got a toilet and a shower right next to it, and I have a shower chair. Okay. So I just transfer right from the toilet to the shower. The edge of the tub, actually, and then to the shower chair, and then I get back out into my chair.
Do you run transfers?
Yeah, I do all my own transfers and everything, and I actually drive a pickup, and I still got my seat's
You
about
have
that high,
so
it's a pretty good height.
Upside.
If I can still get it, I still do it. So so eventually I'll have to go to a van, but not while I can still drive the truck. I like driving the truck.
Absolutely. How about you guys? Did you do modifications?
When I met her, I was looking to buy a house, and I was basically closing on a house when we met. And it's a Rambler in Redmond, and I gutted the entire thing.
Oh, really?
On the inside out, so it's completely remodeled on the inside. I ended up going with regular height countertops, everything, because I'm mainly in a power chair, so it kind of works better for me to have regular height. And our shower is completely rolling, all flat.
But it doesn't look like it's supposed to work for you. Like it does because it's flat and it's spacious, but anyone who walks into our house just says, that's a really gorgeous shower. Like I want that shower.
Yeah, it's all tiled and everything. It looks really nice.
Yeah, so it's just a normal house. It's just everything is pretty flush on the ground, and the countertops are regular. But he doesn't cook, so
yeah, I didn't set it
he
up like that.
He doesn't care.
The sink's normal. The cooktops normal.
Right.
Zero threshold entryways and stuff, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you driving, Chad?
Yes, I'm driving. I was driving when we met, probably about a year before we met. I started driving again.
So your garage is easily accessible?
Yeah, that's the only step up, and then I had them put a ramp in. The contractors put a ramp in. And it's more of a ramp for a power chair than a manual chair. It's not a ADA slope.
So
in the patio, in the backyard, we have the side of the house, and when we did the cement, they made a really nice ramp.
Yeah.
So there weren't any steps or anything. We just tore it all out and then made it the way we wanted. But it looks so normal. Like you wouldn't think that, oh, this was made to be accessible. You just walk around and you're like, oh, this is really nice. And so
yeah, it's amazing how much
There is
better
one part about our
construction
kitchen I do love, and I think probably everybody here has done the same thing, is you designed to have everything from the counter down. So even if you have upper cabinets, you don't really use them. So for Gina, we designed it so we don't have actual doors that open, they're all drawers, but we made them deep. So we have our glasses, our dishes, and everything down below. So what I love is when we have somebody able-bodied come over.
They're always going up to
Yes,
for everything.
and so we finally put stuff up, but I wouldn't say anything. I'd just sit there and watch them because it's just hilarious.
Hours of
Watching. They're open
entertainment.
every cabinet, and they can't figure out where a glass is.
We don't.
We don't have any upper cabinets. We remodeled the kitchen. We didn't put any upper cabinets in at all.
Yeah.
So we just put pictures and stuff up on the upper cabinet walls, and so we have a couple of tall closets that stuff up and high that my
tall
wife
cabinets.
need to get. But as for all of our things are in the lower cabinets too.
Yeah.
Storage
we
shelves.
have cabinets, upper cabinets, but the pantry is accessible, so he can just go in and get snacks whenever he wants, and they pull out. So he doesn't have to like dig in and
Yeah.
Right.
can't find anything. So they're just drawers that pull out. So that's really helpful too, to have those kind of drawers. I thought that was really cool.
And same in the fridge, too. The fridge
Oh, yeah,
has
the
a
fridge.
It's made for what's the crisper drawer on the bottom.
Yeah,
You put like vegetables and stuff. It's kind of
Yeah.
my drawer now because it slides out.
yeah.
So it works. So I can get things in there.
So all of your favorites go there.
Yes.
Yeah, he had to tell me like where he wanted everything. It wasn't my decision.
So the question is, what kind of recreation or what do you guys do for fun as a couple? Do you guys want to start?
We do a lot. We have a blast.
Yeah.
We just, like I said, we went to Canada this past weekend, and we went to the Maroon 5 concert, which was great, and
Yep.
a younger band. Which we actually have gone to about 30 or 40 concerts. But last summer we went down to Southern California. We went to the Redwoods. I pushed about probably 2 miles out in the middle of the Redwoods and came back along a trail that was very narrow. But again, I didn't let it slow me down or stop me. We go for walks quite a bit, almost 2 or 3 times a week. We go out in our neighborhood, just go around.
Camping.
We do a lot of camping. We don't do the tents anymore. We did the tents
Yeah.
for a long time. We now look for places that have cabins.
Yurts.
Yurts, and what do they call the tents they've got?
The canvas.
Canvas tents are kinda nice, too.
Canvas tents are kind of nice. Platform tents.
Platform
that's
tents.
what they're called. Yeah.
But we do
We've
a lot of
tried,
camping.
I think, every yurt, cabin, platform tent, any kind of alternate camping in the national and state parks.
The only thing we have to have is a restroom that's accessible. So we
Yeah.
don't do outhouses, but we'll do restrooms. And so, but yurts
Yes.
will often have a accessible bathroom on the campsite.
Yep.
And no, they'll have accessible yurts.
They all have
If
accessible
you go online,
yurts.
there's some wonderful
Yeah.
ones. Down in Grayland, which is down by Ocean Shores, there's a wonderful place on the beach. It's got
Yeah.
fabulous yurts that are
They've
very
got 3
accessible.
or 4 that are accessible.
The whole campsite is all
Yeah.
paved. The parking area, it's real great to roll
Paved,
around.
it's
So, and you can see
beautiful.
the ocean.
Yeah.
That's great.
So,
Book way in
really
advance, way in advance. And
We've tried everything.
yeah, and you know, just basic movie stuff and road trips and traveling and
She's done parasailing,
well, yeah, that's
whatever they call that. Isn't that what it's
my
called?
neighbor down below just insisted I go with him. So
So he took her out to Tiger Mountain and ran off the side of the cliff.
yeah, I did not know that that's all it was all going to be about. Okay, we are
That's a scary
literally
thing to figure out
running
at
off
that
this
point.
hill like.
It didn't go over well with her parents. But we told them after.
Oh, afterwards, yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
She's been whitewater rafting. We did ATVs.
ATVs are fun because then he can just, you know, drive and then I'm
Yeah.
passenger on the back, and they have 2-seaters and they have them with the back, a little back on it.
So that you could be
Yeah.
secure.
Prepare to get dirty.
Exactly. Chad and Katrina?
Look at me.
Not a lot of sports. I was never really into sports and things like that. I've go to movies and we've been go to Hawaii quite a bit. At least
We
try to
like
go
to
once a
travel.
year. Travel. Recently went to Alicia Keys concert. Got to meet Alicia Keys. She was pretty happy about that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
very
awesome.
cool.
We just spend a lot of time together, even if it's at home. Like, some people might think we're really boring for 20-some-year-olds. But, no, we watch movies together. I don't know. We make sure we eat dinner together every single night. And,
Hang out with our friends and stuff.
yeah, we go out to
Pick and
dinner.
choose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We like to travel a lot, though. We try to go, like, once a year, go somewhere.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Please join me in thanking our fantastic panelists. We so appreciate you guys being here.